Good morning, everybody, once again. This is a mock interview slash resume preparation session. I have a resume opened on my screen. I believe you're all able to look at this, look at my screen, and view the resume. Again, this is a sample resume which kind of covers every aspects of business analysis. You could use this as a baseline or a reference material for building your business analyst resume. So, basically it's pretty basic and to the point. You have your summary with all the knowledge of the various areas that you know within business analysis, and then you have your professional experience. I would give a achievements section here that would list all your achievements. Let's say if you got an award as a best employee of the month, um, or awarded a or you participated in some professional um, or you presented a paper on some particular topic, whatever, basically you put your achievements here, and then you list out your experiences, your professional experiences. And you would have noticed that some of the keywords are in bold, so that helps the hiring managers or recruiters look at your profile and quickly understand what are your skill sets, what are your strengths, what you have worked on, and things like that. Now, to get a job, you have to ensure that you cover all aspects of business analysis. If you look at this resume, the summary has most of the aspects of business analysis. And then, if something is not covered, they are definitely covered in other projects. So, keywords like as is and to be, wireframes, sequence, the various requirements, documentation techniques, and your involvement in testing and reviewing test cases and data analysis and mapping. If you have knowledge on SQL and business requirements, various elicitation techniques and documentation techniques and different software development lifecycle models that you have worked on. If you look at this resume, in this project, this particular BA has worked on rational unified process. And if you look at another project, this person has worked on, let's say, um, um, I'm sorry, what's that? All right. So basically, your knowledge of various SDLC models, like
I'm
what.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I have a question for you, sir.
Mhm.
This resume you're talking about, the guy has described all his past experience in business analysis, but
There's a
when it's compared to
background
it,
noise. Not hearing you very clearly.
yeah, but in our perspective, we are new to business analysis. How
Right.
can we write all of this in our resume?
In this case, you would put whatever you learned in your classes as your,
Okay.
in the summary section. So, and remember, business analysis is about gathering requirements and documenting requirements. Most of you, if you have work experience, would have done some kind of analysis or some kind of documentation. So you could map them to business analysis. You can map business analysis to your past experience and prepare a resume so you get an interview. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I got it.
Yep. So if you do not have this sample resume, uh, you can get it. just ping me on the chat window, and I'll ensure that you get a copy of this resume. So you could use this as a reference to um, build your resume. All right, and the experiences are given in a chronological order. The recent ones at the top, and and so on until your first experience that would come towards the end of your resume. Any questions on this? Yep, it is okay to it is not, it is mandatory that you highlight the skill sets. It is very, very important. Business analysis keywords like use case, SQL, relational data modeling, or data analysis, or data mapping, different software development life cycles models you have worked on, like waterfall or agile or RUP, you know, all this would help a lot.
But is it okay to, hello? Is it like I can ask? I mean, I have posed my question on the chat window. Is it okay if I highlight the tools like Jira, Bugzilla, say SQL
Absolutely.
Server?
Absolutely.
Or,
It is important that you highlight your knowledge on whatever tools that you know. For example, here this candidate has highlighted Visio. Now, Visio is a very, very common tool used by business analysts for for creating use cases or activity diagrams or sequence diagrams or collaboration diagrams, right? So it is very, very important that you that you highlight the various tools that you have used or you have learned as part of this course. Visio is 200% important for a business analyst. You could download a free copy of Visio. They give you 60 days of free trial. Just in case you don't want to pay for it, you still can use it for 60 days. I would recommend that all business analyst candidates download Visio and create at least two use cases and two activity diagrams, two sequence diagrams, and two collaboration diagrams. Understand the differences between these diagrams and their uses. Okay. All right. Now let's do a little bit of mock interview. I'll start with Shamli. Shamli, you there?
yes,
Hey, Shamli, how are you?
so far so good.
Awesome. Um, Tell me about yourself.
Well, I'm a business analyst that has 4 years of experience in the financial sector. I've been able to in my past experience I was able to complete the start with from the project charter, go through the project charter, find out what kind of like how the scope, what kind of stakeholders are available, as well as to find out the duration of the project, and then thereafter I would go ahead and start with the BRD, uh, start inputting the BRD. Before inputting the BRD, I would go ahead and start interviewing them. I would basically elicit requirements from the stakeholders. So I would have various techniques to elicit requirements, like, for example, interviews, then group sessions, chart sessions. I worked on surveys and so on. And thereafter, I would go ahead and start completing the BRD. Once I complete the BRD, I would go ahead and start the functional requirement, have discussions with the developers, and after completing the functional requirements, I would basically pass the documentation to the developers, um, basically liaise with them, basically clarify their doubts, and uh, and then thereafter we would go to the QA. I would actually be involved in the QA session, in like assisting them, as well as If there are any severities, I would look into it as to see who needs to do what, and try to follow up with them. Try to complete that process as soon as possible, depending on the severity. And then thereafter, if there are any test cases to be written, negative or positive test cases, I would go ahead and complete. Depends on the project. I mean, I have worked on positive and negative test cases. I've written positive and negative test cases, and then thereafter I would go ahead with the UAT. In the UAT, again, if there are any clarifications to be done, I would have a meeting with them, and thereafter I would basically have the final meeting with the business and get their sign off.
Great. Anything else to add, Shamli?
Well, I missed when it came to I think I missed the UMLs, where I could have explained about the UMLs, where I was able to draw a diagram. It's easy to it's better to draw a diagram than write so many documentation. So I think I missed the UML part, where I could have like spoken about the processes. Yeah, I missed a few. Now I can remember this. As is document and to be document that you do it at the initial stages. Yeah, probably those two, and get the sign off from the BR after completing the BRD. I would have a discussion with the business and get the BRD signed off. Then thereafter I would proceed to the FRD, and then thereafter I would proceed to the QA, then the developers, then the QA, and finally with the UAT. And the last would be to have get a sign off from the business.
Great. Anything else to add, Shamli?
Well, I would explain the tools that I worked on.
Mm-hmm.
For example, on BRD, I would say rational requisite flow, the blueprint. Those are two requirement gathering tools that I use to basically write down or basically document the requirements in points, and I would have a print out of it. And further, I worked on the HP call center, Jira, as well as Bugzilla. These techniques do this more or less do the same thing, but different companies have preferences. HP call center is mostly used for the manual, although you can use for automation techniques, automation testing. But Jira and Bugzilla are used for automated testing, where they use for like bit mapping and so on. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Tej, tell me about yourself. Introduce yourself.
Before that, in my tone, do I need to vary my tone, or was it too monotonous?
I'll come back.
I mean, I lost my voice halfway there.
No, I'll come back for the feedback.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, hi Vijay. Sorry to interrupt. Sam here.
Mm-hmm.
Vijay, if I'm not wrong, Shanley is the guy who just now who is a client, right?
Yeah, it was Shamli.
Yes.
Shanley, okay. Can I ask a few questions? If you.
Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, hi Sam. This is Sam. How are you doing?
So far so good. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, just given the complete information regarding what you've learned and everything, that is fine. So, in technical aspect, can I ask you a few questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, sure. Can I know what does invest stands for?
Sorry?
What is invest? Can you explain what is invest?
Invest is basically the effort that you put either in money or in physical terms, as or mind for that matter. What kind of in the what kind of input you could put for that? The input basically.
Okay. Okay. And do you have any idea between the fish model and the bee model?
No, I don't. And what was the models again?
Fish model and bee model. Do you know the difference between the fish model and bee model?
No, I know the fish model, the fish bone diagram, I suppose you're talking about, but not about the bee model now.
Okay. V approach. You're not familiar with the V approach.
The V approach I haven't worked on. I worked on only SDLC, the traditional waterfall, agile. Yeah.
So you're done with the agile methodology.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Can you can you just give me what is agile? Why it is being used rather than with the other technology? Other methodology, the SDLC methodologies.
You mean to compare?
Yeah, why it is being largely used because in the recent market, the agile methodology seems to be used with a much larger project. So can you please let me know why it is being used when compared to the V model or spiral model or RAD, whatever it is?
Agile is used because it's mainly because of the itinerary. It can basically handle change faster than rest of the methodologies. REP also, I believe, it can basically it can adapt change, but there is a more or less a structure that's involved. But whereas when it comes to agile, there is no particular format, you can say, in a sense that it on the fly. It depends on the people. They stress on the they basically stress on the process than the people. Sorry, they stress on the people than the process, because the traditional waterfall, as you know, it basically goes from one stage to another, whereas the customer is able to see only at the end. Whereas agile is you can see every sprint will have a output.
Okay, what about with the Scrum methodology?
Sorry?
The Scrum method.
Yeah. Scrum methodology. What do you want to know about it?
No. You've given with the agile, when you compared with the waterfall as well as with the agile.
Right.
Okay. I'm just asking about the Scrum methodology.
Oh, Scrum methodology. Scrum methodology. So that's again, like I said, it's a very iteratory process where it starts from you have a. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. Again? Are you the instructor?
Yeah, you started right. That is the thing which I want to know. Scrum is nothing but it is also another methodology.
Right. Now, no, just let me know this. Are you the instructor or are you a student? I'm actually confused now.
I didn't get you. Can you please come again?
No, I want to know if you're the instructor or are you a student like me? I just want to know that. Just confused.
Oh, okay. Vijay?
Sam.
Oh, you're Vijay.
No. Sam is the recruiter. So
Sam is a recruiter.
He is throwing in some of the questions that are commonly asked to candidates in interviews. So,
Okay.
if you don't know those answers now, that's fine. Sam,
Right.
can you put those questions?
No. I would know, but I was confused because I was wondering whether you were a student, if you were this other instructor. Yeah, that's what I was wanted to know that.
Yep.
So, yeah. Now,
okay.
When it comes,
can I? This is Sam. I'm the marketing person over here with the MindsMapped, and I'll be marketing your resumes once you're done with all the things. Regarding with the resume preparations, I'll be helping you out. I know, how the market is. I'm into the industries for more than 8 years. So how it works, I'm just dealing with the hiring coordinators, hiring managers, or with the client.
Okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were a student. I was confused.
No problem, no problem, no issues. No, I just want to know how you are, so that I can able to help you to make out
Right.
what
Yeah.
you are lacking and everything.
True. True.
I have a question
So,
for Sam as a recruiter.
Yes.
Well, the question for me is that like all the resumes that you guys, the sample resume, it has an 8-year experience. I mean, as in compared to my age, I'm 22. I could not have maximum amount of like, if I have experience in anything, it's going to be not more than 3 years. So does that affect my chances to market the resume or what?
No, I mean, as per the current market, I will be altering. I mean, I will be helping you in assisting with the preparing of the resumes. As in terms of the business analyst, mostly with the current market, about the 8 years or 7+, close to 8 years or 8+ years will work more than rather than with the 3 years. I mean, giving out with the junior BAs.
Yep. So in your case, it would be a 3-year resume, Javed.
Okay.
But try to fit in as much as possible with those keywords that you see in the sample resume.
Yes, because I'm a third year student for engineering management and I've covered a lot of business analysis.
Absolutely, I
And
understand that.
I did an internship of Cyclops a few years back. So we were basically, that was that we were testing systems out. We
Hmm.
had a project where we were changing the existing system, basically the entire system for the company.
Hmm.
So that was my basically the biggest experience that I had with which kind of involves business analysis because I covered waterfall and stuff like that during that internship.
Absolutely. So in your case, in your past experiences, you would squeeze in as much as possible the BA concepts. You know, so that you don't look totally irrelevant while applying for a job. You have all the keywords, and when asked questions, you're able to answer. So um,
Got it.
yep. All right. Let me move on to thanks, Sam. Um, and moving on to Tej. Tej, can you tell me about you?
I'm sorry, but I actually was with Sam question, Jal. Is it okay? I mean, not that I don't know, I actually could answer that.
Hmm.
Can I go ahead?
Yeah, I'll come back to you on that, Shamli. I would
Sure.
like to cover everybody.
Okay.
So
No problem.
I'll move on to Tej next. Tej?
Hey Vijay, so you want to know about myself, right? Yeah, so I have a experience in IT domain for last 15 years, and I started as a developer, worked on a Lexus system, and I slowly transitioned myself from development to the front end development, and then later on as a business analyst. Uh, in one of the projects, before transitioning completely to the business analyst, I worked as a development as a business analyst. Um, so I have about 4 or 5 years experience as a business analyst, where I did the requirement gathering, transitioning the requirement into the documentation of business document and functional requirements and non-functional requirements, and also did the process modeling and test cases, use cases, and I also worked in both waterfall and agile Scrum methodologies, um, and the various tools I used were the MS Visio, MS Quality, and Excel. So I'm pretty good with requirement gathering, elicitation, with the interview, and also the focus group. So yeah, that's about it.
Anything else to add, Tej?
Yeah, I also worked in the SQL server, do the reporting part, and I also did the as is and to be the gap analysis, and Also, I worked on logging the bugs, and then making sure that they are fixed. Using the user acceptance testing, and also I maintain the traceability matrix, requirement traceability matrix.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Anything else? All right.
Yeah.
Yep. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Um, if it was me, I'll just throw this answer from my perspective, um, and then we'll circle back on how we did. Remember,
So I have a question. I mean, if you're going to answer the question now, I mean, I think you should take the answers from everyone else and then put in your answer, because then what if I was planning to say something else, but now I know what you're going to say, and I'll have that to say to you.
okay, go ahead. If there is somebody else who have completed their training, I would rather prefer to hear it from you. But if you have not completed your training, you might not have the absolute answer. That's my point. Is there anybody else who have?
I mean, yeah, that is true. I don't have the complete training too, so I will let you finish it then. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Anybody else who have completed your training? All right. So Tej and Shamli have completed their training, and that's why they were picked for. They're being picked for all the questions. It's not harassment. um, all right. So remember, every interview, the first question is going to be about introducing yourself, or tell me about you, or tell us about your past experiences. You might want to give a very good first impression for this question. Be prepared with an answer. If you are already not prepared, be prepared with your answer for this question to talk about yourself. There should be an answer that covers all your experiences, your skill set, your strengths, and should be an answer that reflects your communication skills. All right. If it was me, and let's say, this is not my resume, but just I'm going to use this resume to talk about myself. All right. Because you'll be having this resume, you could map this answer. So tell me about yourself, and I would go like this. Hi, this is Vijay. I started working as a junior business analyst way back in 2006 for Huntington National Bank. It's based out of Columbus, and that's where I began my career as a business analyst. You know, I was a junior team member within the business analysis team, and I started learning business analysis at Huntington. I worked in various phases of the SDLC. During the analysis phase, I helped the senior business analyst in gathering requirements from various teams, especially the risk team. As a business analyst, I served as a liaison between the users or the operations team and the technology team. We worked in a rational unified process model, so I got a good understanding of the SDLC and rational unified process model. I used MS Visio to, kind of started learning MS Visio and started documenting use cases and various process flows as diagrams using Visio. I created data models and also explained those data models to the technology team. Facilitated, whenever there was certain requirements that were challenging or not easy to understand, we would, I would be a part of the JAD sessions, and in some cases, I have even organized JAD sessions myself to create those design documents and come up with the system specifications. During the development phase, I have helped the technology team with any questions or clarifications that they need on requirements, and also help the testing team to build their test cases. During the testing phase, I have, um, uh, conducted some user acceptance testing, and it was a very good experience. I was with Huntington for about 2 years. I got exposure to work on different phases of SDLC, and by the time I completed my project with Huntington, I had a good grip of business analysis. And then I moved from Columbus, Ohio, to Pennsylvania. I got a job as a business analyst with Commerce Bank in Pittsburgh, and I started working as a business analyst. Was in charge of projects to gather requirements and come up with functional requirements documents. The project was a little bit complex. It was a credit card management system, and the project name was Project CAS, or Card Authentication System. I had to gather requirements from various users, and I used various elicitation techniques, interviews, um, chat sessions. Yeah, somebody's typing. Please stay on mute if you're typing. Come up with these documents, and to make requirements easier, I usually prefer adding a lot of diagrams. A picture speaks 1,000 words. Some of the complex requirements are difficult to understand because these are credit card related, and a lot of business rules were involved. So I used to come up with use cases and activity diagrams. And although I used Visio before in my previous organization, here a lot of requirements and documents were done in rational rows. Although I had not used rational rows before, I started using rational and learning rational rows, and quickly I was able to get a grip of rational rows. So I was doing pretty much the same thing, but I was independent. I was not, handheld by any senior business analyst in my role at Commerce Bank. The software SDLC that was used was Rational Unified Process again, so it was easy for me. But also, I started creating business process models, and here a lot of data mapping was required, and I had to coordinate with the development team to come up with the data flows and data migration related activities. Obviously, with credit cards, there's a lot of customers and a lot of data a lot of data involved. I learned SQL. I got the basics of SQL to help me perform better in my role here. And I was with them for about 2 years before I moved on to my next project at Bank of America in Charlotte in North Carolina. This was again a credit card related project, but this was a fast paced environment. We used Agile on this project, and I was pretty much involved in gathering requirements, identifying or prioritizing the important requirements, and create business requirement document, functional specifications, prioritize requirements, and data analysis, things like that that were pretty much what BAs does. I got exposure to agile at this project. Until then, I had been used to Rational Unified, so this environment was a little different. But definitely, I learned a lot about agile and how to prioritize requirements and how to work in a fast-paced environment and get a grip of SQL and data mapping best practices. I was also involved in helping the testing team with completeness of test cases, coming up with new test scripts if they had missed something, and so on. So overall, and then I moved on to PNC Bank in Pittsburgh. I was working in a more senior role by now. I was involved right from the initiation phase where I would come up with the as is and to be. I have created business cases, performed data analysis, and coordinated with stakeholders in different locations, in different from different departments within the organization. So it was a much more it was a very good experience working for PNC, and I got to interact with professionals from the ground level to the senior executive level. I used to go talk to them to gather requirements in some cases, travel down to client locations, and I also have active experience, a lot of experience working with the offshore team. The development team in this project was based in India, so I had to coordinate with the developers that were developers and testing team that was in an offshore location. The time difference was challenging, but I managed working around by coming late or coming early to office to get in touch with them and gather requirements or educate the team on requirements, whatever. So this project was particularly interesting because of the stakeholders. The business spread across various cities in the U.S., various time zones within the U.S., and having an offshore team that was based in India. So yeah, I carry a lot of experience within business analysis, and in terms of tools, I have a very good grip on um, Visio, Rational. I've always managed the requirements traceability matrix myself, and I've been involved in projects where an existing system has been replaced with a new system. That's where a lot of data mapping or migration activities come in picture. And I have trained business analysts. I can bring in a lot of value. I can come on board and start quickly, understand the concepts very quickly, and start working right away. I don't need any kind of training or anything. I can just come up to speed with your organization and start working right away. Um, Maybe I missed a few, but the whole point is to give a story, so the user is interested in listening to you till the beginning. Tell them about your past companies and how you moved from company A to company B to C to D, and what you did at A, B, C, and D, and also how you performed during the different phases of the SDLC, the software development life cycle. Um, you can also talk about the various elicitation techniques you used, the various SDLC models that you have worked on, the types of testing that you were involved in: system testing, system integration testing, user acceptance testing, positive testing, negative testing, black box testing, white box testing, and so on. So just because you're a BA, you cannot assume that you should not know testing. You have to know testing to be a good, to be able to succeed as a good BA. So you talk about that. Remember, most of your interviews are going to be for 30 minutes if it's telephonic, and you want to give a very good first impression by talking about all your experiences and all your knowledge and the skill sets that you have with respect to business analysis. So if you could talk about yourself for about 10 to 15 minutes and tell what the interviewer wants to hear. Basically, the interviewer is looking for a few skill set that you have to know to be able to work in that project. So, particularly, they'll be interested when you talk about your skill sets and how you have handled. Any questions?
Okay, I need to ask you, for for me, I have a 5 years experience. The only thing that I did is a testing for the last year from my experience. But for my diploma and for my master degree, I did I did something related to business analysis as a project. So do I have to put that on my resume, or what's the process?
Of course, you have to. I mean, if you have done some sort of business analysis, why would you not put it, on your resume? Um, you have to have everything related to business analysis. In some cases, you might not have had a title as a business analyst, but you could have done a lot of these coordination activities, a lot of these requirements gathering activities, or documentation activities, or testing activities. You know, there's no reason you should not put them on your resume, or I'll say it the other way around. You should have them on your resume to be able to get through the interview selection process.
I have a question for you, sir.
Mhm.
So as you know, like when we write our resumes, it's a dog eat dog world. Everyone's trying to get jobs, and a lot of time now that you come across resume, a lot of things that people write on it are not even something that they did, but they still write on it because most of the work experience that you get, you learn from the job itself, regardless what you studied for. So is it okay if you write something in a resume that we actually haven't done, but we do know how to do it?
As long as you can answer those questions and not be embarrassed in an interview, that's fine. If you have SQL queries on your resume, you should know SQL queries.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot say you know SQL queries and then put it on your resume, and then when asked about it, you say, you know what, I just wanted to get an interview, so I just put it there, but I can pick it up. No, you can't say that. Now, if you're confident, and now again, remember, without all these keywords, you're not getting an interview. And with all
Yeah,
these in the resume, you have to understand what it is and be prepared to answer those questions.
yes, but sir, if you think about it, all these terms that we used, like during our training sessions, like all the methodologies we use, these are just common. Actually, if you think about a business analyst perspective, they're all common sense, just worded in a fancier name.
Yep, I agree. I agree. That's why business analysis is chosen by most professionals that have been in other industries or even within IT on other areas as a career shift job. And 99% of them succeed. If I mean, remember, just the theory classes, they do not help. You have to write your business requirement. You have to prepare a business requirement document. You have to prepare your business case. You have to prepare use cases on Visio diagrams. You have to write test cases to be able to actually understand what's there on your resume. If you're just listening to classes and you think you know everything and you go for an interview with that knowledge, it's not going to work. My honest feedback. So you have to, actually spend time and work on those documents, the templates that are given to you to be able
Mm-hmm.
to actually understand. it all looks good when you listen to the theory concepts, but when you try to actually open that template and put in the information, that's when you realize that, hey, you know what, I'm not able to do it. It's when you actually open Visio and try to create a use case that you realize, hey, I don't understand anything, man. So as long as you open those templates, get your hands dirty, and create one document and get it reviewed by an instructor instead of saying, hey, you know what, I didn't have time. That's when you actually understand your concepts.
I understand that, sir.
Okay.
Vijay, I have a question. Is there a way we can get that list of the questions for the interview questions from the recruiter?
Oh, sure.
They're on the website, by the way.
They're on the website.
They are? Okay.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So those are like 50 questions, which is on the website?
Two sets of questions.
Okay.
Two sets of questions. Yeah.
And they pretty much, the questions are being asked from one of those, right? So
most, if you can answer those 100 questions, you would crack your BA interview.
okay, what about those, situational questions?
Good. Now, situational questions are not very specific to business analysts. Those are questions that are relevant for QA, BA. So I'll ask. I don't think they are on the website, but I can ask. I can ask the training coordinator to collate that and put them on the website too. Thank you.
Okay, that'll be great. Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay. So I'll start asking my own questions now. Um, what is data mapping? You're seeing this data mapping in every project this guy has done. Is it really important? What is data mapping? Anybody knows about data mapping?
Data, yeah, I'll speak on this, Shamli. So data mapping happens if there's a migration from one system to another.
Mm-hmm.
Say, for example, I worked on with the Bank of America. The data was flowing from the mainframe to the SQL Server, or what the department that I work for was ODS, Operational Data Storage. So data mapping is where we mirror the data in that database to another database, and where we have to find out we have to find out the root, basically where the source is coming from. So we'll have, for example, probably an Excel sheet or in the system, we can convert it to Excel and do data types, basically data type changes like bitmaps, whereas like on mainframes, there are changes that needs to be done, exporting to SQL Server. So bitmap, say, for example, the data, say, if it's a big int, we might have to change it to, say, if it's a small int, we might have to change to big int. So those kind of changes needs to be done. So data mapping is where we map the particular data that's coming from. So we need to have the source data and where we're going to, where it's going to land, and are we going to send it to reporting? In that case, they would need our data mapping to map the data from, so that they could extract the reports.
Awesome. Was it Tej or Shamli?
I have a question. I have a question, if you don't mind.
Sure, I'll get back to you, Javad. But who just gave that answer? Was that Tej?
Shamli.
Oh, Shamli. Hey, that was beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Javad.
Yes, sir. So the question that you asked about data mapping,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that question could be elaborated into a lot of things. So let's say when we're going for interviews and someone asks, let's say if this question comes up, what is data mapping? I mean, I could just give a one-line answer like data transformation between a data source and a destination.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fine, or I need to elaborate?
What you did as a business analyst is what the interviewer would want to know. you know.
Okay.
Yep. So now, let's just start it, pretty basic, Java. Tell me, what is data mapping?
In general, data mapping is just a transformation of data from a data source to a destination. Basically, you're gonna find out the data and you're gonna implement it.
What kind of projects use it?
It could depend. It could be a variety of projects. I mean, what we discussed in our classes is different. But in my personal experience, I worked for Regal Corporation in New York City. I was the project manager for the entire 8 theaters.
Mm-hmm.
And my process, when we went from the theater mode to digital mode, from our headquarters in Knoxville, we used to get data and we used to get a list of things that we had to be done in all 8 theaters. So we had the data source. The data source was the headquarters in Knoxville, and they were giving us the data, and it was our job to actually operate the entire 8 theaters in New York City with those codes provided, because now the digital projectors are synced directly with other computers, so that every event that is happening, all the numbers and everything are synced. So we basically, what I'm trying to say is, like, they gave us a source, like, this is what you have to do and this is what you have to implement, and like this, and the 8 theaters that we did, that was the destination where we had to implement those codes that we get, those sources of data that we got.
Okay, great. What are the steps involved? Now, as simple as it sounds, what are the steps involved in this entire process?
Well, then it was a long work. It was like a 2-month whole process that we took. The first thing first was that we had to actually order projectors, which cost us $75,000 each. So we had 8 theaters on them, 8 theaters. Each theater had 14 theaters. So it was an investment of around $500,000 that we did to actually move Regal Entertainment from the old theaters to digital. And then we had 18 theaters. All the project sites, we had to sync them together so that if anything happens on one side, it happens on the other side. So we created a software called Intake, and our IT department did, which I was there. I was learning with them what we were doing. So we created a site called Intake where all our projectors were online and they synced with each other. So whatever happened in one theater is happening in all entire 8 locations of our theaters.
Okay. Now, compare what you said to what Tej said. What is the difference between the data mapping project that Tej said and your project?
Well, pardon me, I'm not sure with what he said.
Okay. I'll explain the difference. Meanwhile,
Sure.
yeah, meanwhile, before I start explaining, I would like to hear from others as well. What is data mapping? Um, Anybody else knows what's data mapping?
Good morning. I'm not sure, but like for example, I think data mapping is like a floor plan. You have to have a clear vision for the project you want to build, and data mapping is the same thing. Should be how to sort your data and how to build your project.
I'm not sure if I understood that. Can you say that again?
Like when you want to build a house, let's say, you need to have a floor plan first, so you know
No,
how
no.
to construct.
Let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk IT. How.
Say that again.
Let's talk information technology. How do you use data?
Yeah, because I'm not information technology. I have never worked in IT or business analysis, so just trying to get an example to compare so I can also understand what is data mapping. That's what I think. If I'm wrong, please let me know.
Okay. So when you give answers, you should be able to give answers that are relevant to IT projects. Um, you know, Otherwise you're not making an impression at the interview, because clients, they want people with experience in IT. or at least able to speak IT. When you're asked about data migration or data mapping, I would prefer that you talk the IT language. Sorry, somebody just said something. You want? Who's that?
Yeah, sorry, Sam here.
Yes, Sam.
Yeah, I would like to add information, which you've given. The first person is Shamli, who gave the answer for Shamli. The data mapping, right?
Right.
And the second person, he just asked regarding with the online answer. I couldn't get the name of the guy.
I think that was Java.
Sure. Yes, I did.
Okay.
Okay. I would like to add a few points. Regarding with the online answer will not impress because you know what is. Vijay was asking regarding with the questions in detail. What are the steps involved? What are the things which you've done? But the interviewer will not ask for those kind of. They will not be more in detail. You just to be elaborate when you give the answers. No need to wait until they ask you.
Right. Right. That's
Yeah, that was my entire question that I started like.
Yes, no, you
Elaborate.
should not wait the the interviewer to ask you. You should explain what you did in your project. It should be in IT terms, as Vijay said. The other guy gave some house example that will not work. If
So
you're giving me
basically,
the online answers, that they will come to the conclusion that you are theoretically sounding good, but you don't have much real-time experiences.
your point is whatever question they ask you, you need a backup reference for it that you
Yes,
kind of have an
yeah,
experience
which
in.
covers
Okay,
your project, which are given in the resume.
got it, sir.
absolutely. So you know what I used to do when I start looking for jobs. I take 5 copies of my resume, keep one near my bed, near my pillow, one in my living room, one in my car, and one copy in my bathroom. So I'm looking at it every single moment I can. You know, I keep a pen near that. I look at it, on what are the questions that are possible and what are the areas where I do not have an answer. Remember, the major hurdle in getting a job is clearing an interview. And of course, it doesn't end there. Once you go inside an organization, you have to sustain. But let's get that interview thing done first. I mean, you have to be aware of all the questions that could pop up out of your resume. Remember, like I said yesterday, there are 2 types of interviewers. Number one are the interviewers that come to an interview with a prepared set of questions. No matter what you have done, they expect that they need a person who has knowledge on those set of questions that they have in front of them. The second set of interviewers just walk in to the interview with a copy of your resume. They look at your resume and ask questions. So you have to be very thorough about your resume. Now, if you're not thorough about a particular concept, don't knock it off your resume. You still need all these keywords that you see on this resume to be able to get an interview. And once you get this interview, remember you're going to get questions from all these keywords. So you have to be prepared. And remember, a business analyst job is a job where you understand what you're going to build, what product you're going to build as part of your project. And once you understand that, you're going to explain that to the software engineers. Remember, the software engineers do not know what they're going to build. They just know .NET or Java or J2EE or Hadoop, whatever, they know a software language. The moment a project is initiated, it's a business analyst who understands by talking to the various stakeholders what is going to be built and document it. The job also involves explaining to the various software engineers on all the questions or clarifications they need. So you are a person who has to communicate a lot. Communication involves emails, phone calls, conducting, preparing PowerPoint presentations and presenting it to an audience. So you have to be a good communicator and a good command of the language. So you have to talk. One line answers kind of, you know, kind of stresses that you are not great communicator. Yep. A hand raised. There you go. Audrey, you have something to add?
I have a question, Vijay, please, sir.
Sure. Go ahead.
You know what's really tough for me is when you go on interviews and they have a panel interview where it's like, I've gone to an interview at Kaiser in Colorado and they had like 4 women sitting in there interviewing me at the same time. I mean, no, 10 people interviewing me at the same time. I've had anywhere from just 2 people interviewing me, 4 people, and I thought 10 people were a bit much. What's that about?
And they're all women. That's even more challenging. Oof. I'm just joking. So most of the time, if there is a project team, not all the and you see 10 people on an interview panel, not all of them are decision makers. But the key people that were talking in that interview could be potentially two or three important people: the project manager, the business analyst team lead, and maybe a somebody else within the project. So the others would just give their feedback. You know, so you don't have to worry about the number. You just focus on the question. Try and make eye contact. Remember, I told you, as a business analyst, you would be conducting those sessions where you educate the various software teams. You might have more than 10 in those sessions. Probably they would like to know how good you are in talking in front of an audience. In those cases, just focus on the questions, your answer. Try and make eye contact if it is a face to face interview with all those folks on the interview. But remember, the number of people that would ask questions in such interviews would be restricted to 2 or 3, because if you have to answer questions from 10 folks, you easily need an hour or more. Most of the times, Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, 90% of the business analyst interviews are 30-minute interviews. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you could talk about yourself for the first 15 minutes, you have sold yourself very well. Without and if you can talk fluently. In the past, there have been candidates that have attended this training, stood in front of the mirror, and built a beautiful story for themselves based on their resume, and practiced it over and over and over again until they were convinced and able to go and then also look at their resumes again and again, make notes on the printouts, read what they are not good with, and being able to clear interviews and start working. So,
Yeah, Vijay.
mhm, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, Vijay. To answer the question, the lady she asked, if there are 10 people, some more than 2, she can't able to handle it. My suggestion is, if you're very strong in the resume which you have, what is the point? Anyway, they're going to ask you from the resume what are the answers which you are giving on. If you're very strong in that, you can crack even more than 10 people.
Right, absolutely. But I think
Be strong in the resume.
Audrey's question was more about, hey, I'm getting nervous thing. So, yeah, don't be nervous. You're going to do that all the time after you get the job. And yeah, if you're strong in what you're talking about, you wouldn't worry about it too much. Absolutely correct, Sam. Yeah, you should be totally prepared on your resume, which would make those answers look questions look simple then. All right. Before we proceed, let's take a quick 10-minute break. It's 11:11. Let's catch up again at 11:20 and continue the session.
Before we go on a break, can I ask Sam a question real quick?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Sam, I have a question for you. So you said that most of the business analyst jobs require experience. And let's say if a person is coming in new in the field, he has no experience. How is he supposed to market his resume?
It depends. I mean, it depends how the candidate is. I mean, how strong he is. I mean, in terms of, I mean, if it is a fresher, I mean, he has been attended training. I mean, depending upon his capability, we will be building his resume and will be getting into the clients where they're looking for some junior levels or the mid-level BAs.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, the ultimate point is, I mean, the consultants can able to get the job. I mean, they can able to crack, because as adding to the point, I mean, adding to the point what Vijay said, I mean, the business analyst is a person who is a liaison between the stakeholders as well as with the technical team or with the other person. He is a key point for the customers. I mean, some clients, they will be giving you in detail regarding with the job descriptions or with the business requirement documents or whatever it is. But some few clients, they will be giving you just, I want this product. So you are the person who will be interacting with the team, and you will be getting it to know to them what are the product which the client is in need of. So the business analyst is the key point, key person in terms of the company business perspective.
So he's basically the main voice behind the whole project.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Well, thank you. That answered the question.
All right, it's 11:13. Let's catch up at 11:25.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Talk to you in a bit, guys. All right.
Hi, Vijay, are you there?
Yep.
Quick question. A lot of recruiters are looking for the SQL experience, and how would you answer that? And how can you learn that? I know it's not a part of a business analyst curriculum, right?
I think the SQL queries, it's about learning queries. There's not much to teach there. It's about learning what those queries are. And I guess it's there on the knowledge base. So SQL MindsMapped. Yep. I just typed SQL and MindsMapped on Google, and I see SQL interview questions. Let me open it in a new tab. Oh, oops. We have to fix this. Let me take a note of it. But I see here. Okay. Let me take this up. Is it not part of the um, course at all?
No, it's not. For the business analyst, it's not.
Okay. It should be, because at least some quick updates on what it is, might not be required in this detail that you see for business analysts, but certainly a few queries are required.
Okay, yeah, that'll be helpful. If what are the main queries or main questions can we ask?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I see a lot of requirements for the job requirements. As a SQL, they always ask SQL, I think at least.
Right. All right. So I have made a note of it. I'll inform this to Vijay so he could get this organized.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Hey Vijay, I wasn't able to. What's the website for the knowledge base again? Remember.
See, I was teaching about the knowledge base yesterday. To find information on the knowledge base, it's actually very simple. Don't go to the knowledge base and try to figure out. Let's say you want to learn about SDLC. Just type SDLC by MindsMapped, hit enter. You would get, you know, ba.mindsmap.com. Open all these. So in this case, I got software development life cycle. I forgot my password, but you all know how to use this. So in case it is rational or SDLC, you would get it like this. Let's say you want to learn about um, let's pick up waterfall. Just type in Google waterfall by MindsMapped and hit enter, and you would find this. So, waterfall software methodologies, and let's say you want to pick Agile by MindsMapped. Type Agile by MindsMapped. So this is an easier way to search for documents Agile methodology rather than go into the knowledge base and then look for documents. Go to Google and search for the topic by MindsMapped. So that's why I searched for SQL by MindsMapped and I couldn't find much. The interview questions, for some reason, this page did not open. It says nothing found, but I did find the questions um, on SlideShare. That's how I found this page. So go to Google and search for the topic and then type by MindsMapped. You will get what you are looking for. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay. All right. Going back to what we were talking. What is data migration? So, organizations, huge corporations have been using certain softwares for a long time. When there is a lot of data involved, usually mainframe was the choice in the previous generation of softwares. So organizations, especially banks or financial services companies or insurance companies or healthcare companies where a lot of data was involved, or telecom companies, or let's say this government agencies like Social Security Administration or healthcare, where a lot of data was involved, usually mainframes and AS400s and so these are called legacy systems because the technology, the latest technologies have replaced these legacy systems. Um, Now organizations that were using all these legacy systems are upgrading. They are using applications built on Java or .NET and moving to new platforms. Now, the new systems are more user friendly, more efficient, um, simpler to use, easy to understand and train. So they have a lot of advantages. They're faster. So Organizations are moving from legacy systems to new applications these days. Is it so simple to move all your data from one app to the other? It's not. But you don't want to miss any of that information that is there in the existing system. That's data migration, moving your data from a legacy system or from system A to system B. How do you do that? You do data mapping. First, you understand what are the different data that is available in the existing system. It's not as simple as you imagine. BAs spend months identifying what are the various data involved or available in the existing system. They document all of that. They call the left hand side of the data that is picked from the existing system. And then on the right hand side, they come up with a list of data that has to be built in the new system. There might be additional fields, or there might be fields that are not used in the current system that are not carried forward to the new system. So once all the data is identified on both the old system, the legacy system, and the new system, both are mapped. Both systems could have a different naming convention. Let's say you fill a form to, for a new credit card application. There could be a first name, last name, primary phone, mobile phone, fax, office phone, email ID, personal email ID, official, address line number one, address line two, city, zip code, state, your gross annual income, whatnot. Now you understand what I'm talking about. Now the field names are not the same as what you see on the front end. The back end, the system could have a different name under which in a table under which all your information is stored. So maybe for getting your information, for a credit card application, the data that is required is different from a bank mortgage. For not bank mortgage, I'm sorry, for a home mortgage. An automobile credit application might be totally different. But remember, this is all data being gathered from customers. All this information is stored in the systems. Now, not all the information is required for certain processes. Now, only if your loan is approved, then you're a customer. So customer information versus contact information, every information is being stored. Now you have to move all this information that you have accumulated over the past few years or past few decades, depending on the organization. You have to move them all to the new system. A business analyst is involved in identifying the various fields. The designers try and come up with the new fields for the new system. It's a joint activity between the designers or developers and the business analysts to identify all the existing fields and to come up with the new fields and ensure that no data is missed in the process of migration. Mapping the left side and right side data is called data mapping. It's a joint activity of the business analyst and the technical team. All right. Hey Sham, you have a question?
Yeah, Vijay. Vijay, I want to know this. Say, the point you just raised. So, if you're working on a Java system, there's a front end, and the back end is SQL. Can the Java basically interact with the SQL? Because, like, if for Oracle, you probably use stored for SQL database to a database conversation or communication. To pull information, you probably need to use like something like Toad. Does Java need any, say, interacting tool to communicate, or can it communicate directly with a SQL database? Just this is a specific question I just want to know.
This is a pure technical question, Sham. I might not be able to answer that. Um, I have never worked as on technology. I've been a business analyst before moving to project management, but this is a pure technical question. You're asking a question that should be asked to a designer.
Uh, no, just asking because so in an interview they might ask like, did the Java interact with, because when it comes to BRD and FRD, you'll probably have to basically jot those down.
No,
So
you will not. A business requirement document will not give any technical recommendations or suggestions. You're stepping on somebody else's toes if you do that. The name of the document is very clear, a business requirement document. The business would only know what they want, you know?
probably in a FR document or a FS document, like a
No.
functional requirement or functional specification.
Yep. Even a functional specification, you're only talking about the functionality of the system, how it should perform, how it should behave for certain commands, what should happen if you hit on submit, what should happen, what are the business rules if the user hits cancel or hits submit. So, what screen should come next? What should the user be able to do next? Is what you would specify in your business requirement or functional requirement document. You will not, they could use SQL or Oracle. It's up to the technical team to decide that. Now, they might have certain questions to understand what would best suit this project, and they could ask requirements related questions to the business analyst. But if you are doing a technical analysis, probably you are not a business analyst, you could be a systems analyst or a designer. Because the analysis part is all about requirements, and only BAs do that piece, and they don't move into technology at all. Yep, I understand. A lot of developers or designers move into business analysis at some point, so they could probably speak about it, but they're not supposed to step into others' toes as a BA. You know, they probably would like to be in technical business analyst role. Like I said, there are cases where designers, developers, test engineers with some kind of technical knowledge would move into technical business analysis or business system analyst roles. That could be
Okay.
different, but business analysis as such does not involve technology related decisions or recommendations.
Okay.
Yep. All right. Um, um, Rima, quick question for you. Oh, uh, is Rima there in the call? No. All right. Javed, um, do you know what are the different types of testing? Javed? All right. Um, Turkey. In Turkey, do you know what are the different types of testing?
No, actually, the only thing what I did, I have a system. They told me uh, they told me test each function to make sure everyone is everyone is working perfectly. But I don't know exactly there is a kind of testing.
You should. All right. Faisal, what
Oh,
are,
I'm back. I'm sorry, my mic, I don't know what's not working.
no worries. Go ahead, Javed. Can you tell us what are the different types of testing?
I don't know them by definition, but I know a few by names that we came across. We came across the black box texting,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was the integrating testing.
Okay.
Something like that. I forgot it was. Yeah, that's all I remember right now.
Okay. Pradeep,
Hi, yes. I mean, in my past experience, I've come across unit level testing, system testing, functional testing, integration testing, regression, performance testing, load testing.
mm-hmm. Awesome. What is unit testing?
I think unit level testing is going to the most basic use case. I mean, to the lowest level of the uh, uh, what is that? Mm, the test case, the most basic level of the test case and testing for that particular requirement.
Who would perform unit testing?
In my experience, I mean, in my previous organization, it was actually done by the developer itself. So, I mean, they used to have about, I mean,
The
go
developer
on.
in any organizations, the developer would actually perform unit testing. All right. What is functional testing?
Uh, Functional testing is again, I mean, you have the functional requirements, so you test for the particular requirement. So you just map it against the against the functional requirement. That would be the functional testing. So, for example, the basic example would be logging in. So that's a function. So you actually put in the username, password. If the authentication is genuine, then the system needs to allow the user to log in. So that is a functional testing done.
All right. Can you give me an example of functional testing?
Uh, I mean, I just did so. Let's say, okay, now the ATM credit card transaction. Now when the user uh, inputs his data, login data, that includes the card and his PIN number. Now, if the PIN is a match, so the ATM machine needs to allow him to make a transaction. So that is one of the functional requirement. Now, from the testing point of view, the tester needs to test for the actual genuine login and also for a false login. So that's how I think it works.
Okay, very good. What's a regression testing?
Regression testing, I think I really have no idea, but I think it's something like you keep testing by increasing the load on a particular system. I'm really not sure.
Okay, who can answer this? What is regression testing?
I think the regression testing is a type of software testing which, when you uncover the new software bugs, um, it can be in existing functional or non-functional areas of the system.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically to find if there is a new bugs are exist like because of the new changes being done. So once the developer makes a change into the application, the QA team runs the regression testing and finds if there's something is broken or not.
Right. Let's say your application has module A, B, and 3. I'll just pull up an example. I'll go to chase.com. You see that, oh wow, they've changed their website. All right, let's go to amazon.com. Now, Amazon has multiple departments, right? Now, if you make some changes to home, garden, and tool module because you're making some changes to the functionalities there. You still might want to regression test the other modules just to ensure that this did not impact indirectly some other module and disturb the existing code. That's regression testing. So you made some changes to a portion of the app, but still you test the entire remaining app just to ensure that the changes that you made to this particular module did not impact the other modules. That's regression testing. Pradeep, what's user acceptance testing?
I think this is again based on the user requirement. So you map the user requirements and test against those requirements. Basically, from a user point of view, I mean, the end user of a system. Let's say, for example, let's take the example of a CRM system. I mean, the CRM system is mostly used by the sales guys. So whatever requirements you have gathered from a sales person's point of view, you test it against those particular requirements. So if the user is that's what user testing is, user acceptance testing is. So you sit along with the user of a system and make sure whatever the user, for a particular user, that particular requirement is satisfied.
Okay. What is the role of a BA for in user acceptance testing?
I mean, we haven't gone through the training yet, but I think since you would have mapped the requirements, you have to make sure the system what is built or the project what is being executed meets all the requirements. So in this case, for example, the user acceptance testing, so you sit, I mean, you wear the shoes of a user and test the system for, again, false positives or false negatives in the system.
Okay.
Can I just add to that?
Mm-hmm.
UAT testing, adding to Pradeep's answer, basically what the customer wants and what he has got. Is it the same thing, what he wanted? When it comes to user testing on a larger scale. Further, with as a BA, you would actually get the sign-off from the business after the user testing. So there'll be a different date after the user testing is complete and it's successful. There would be a sign-off that will take place.
Yep. It's basically a quick test, not a quick test. It's a functionality test performed by the clients before accepting the system as fit for purpose. Now the business analyst plays a major role in working closely with the clients or the client testers in performing user acceptance testing. What is the role of a BA, Pradeep, in testing overall?
Can I answer that?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, for like example, once the software or the application or process has been developed, the role of the BA is to write the test requirements, give it to testing, and sometimes we help with the testing. This is like the real fun part of testing where you kind of get to play around, like if it's a website, to make sure that, like, for example, the username, the password is working, all of your alerts are coming up. It's like the beta testing, you know, to make sure that everything is functioning properly prior to delivering it to your end users. And as a BA, you may write up like training documents on how to do the end user testing, providing your end user testing with some your end users with the beta. You know, after you found all the bugs, you and the testers, then you provide your end users with some type of documentation for them to kind of do the beta testing on the system to see if they have any more inputs or maybe if they found any bugs. But usually, it's usually the final testing part where you get to have fun and you kind of see if everything is working and you try to break it apart prior to delivery to the end users. To me, it's like the funnest part of testing.
Yeah. The role of a BA in testing would be to assist the testing team in coming up with test cases, review the test cases and see if there is completeness in test cases, if everything is covered, if no functionality is left without a test case, there are enough positive scenarios and negative scenarios. All right. What else? Yep, that's pretty much about it.
Just question on the QA part.
Mhm.
Can the regression testing be done manually as well as automated?
Yep, it can be.
Can be. Okay.
All right.
But when it comes to like unit test and so on, it has to be. Can that be automated or manual? Just
Say that again.
Can I say something like unit testing be done manually as well as automated? Either way.
The preference would be to do it manually, because usually test cases are automated when they are done over and over again. But
okay.
Yeah, by unit testing, it means that developer has just built it, so he would manually just go ahead and test it.
Okay.
We could also talk about the various requirements elicitation techniques, and the role of various software models, and the various documentation techniques like use cases and various activity diagrams, sequence diagrams, and collaboration diagrams, and also about wireframes and things like that. And since we are running out of time, I'll close the session for now, and maybe again after once we get some time, we can do this again. I'm not sure when, but let me see if I could get some time with Bridgie, and we'll set up something.
Can you forward that resume to us through our emails?
Oh, sure. I don't have all your email IDs, but I'm going to give this resume to Bridgie, the sample resume to Bridgie, and ask him to upload this on the website or give it to all of you over email, whatever. But I promise I'll do that.
Thank you so much.
Vijay, just a question. Now, we were trained by Mansi, so she didn't mention anything about wireframe. We were taught only the prototyping by using just-in-mind. Is there any way you can just throw some light, probably for a minute or two, about wireframes?
Give me a second. I'm just the course contents by MindsMapped. I'm sure all of you are following the course contents document on the website.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, does this talk about wireframes?
It just says prototypes. In the session 7, if you see, or session 8, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So you see the last one is prototype. So it doesn't mention what. So
requirement. Those are requirement gathering techniques. This would should be here somewhere in the requirements documentation and session 10 and 11. So I can ask that to be called out here, but you said you are in session 8 now?
No, we actually completed session 11.
So perfect. You can ask her to talk about wire diagrams here, It's not very different from the activity sequence and class activity and sequence diagrams that you have seen. But you could ask Marcy to cover that in the next session.
Okay.
Diagrams.
Thanks.
Just yeah. Um, I'm sorry. It's a long time. I used to teach for MindsMapped before, but not anymore.
So
But
that's okay.
yeah.
Thank
Um,
you.
Sure, no problem. I mean, I certainly will have a couple of sessions on mock interviews sometime in the near future. But just in case you don't cover it, let me know, or not let me know. Sorry, let Bridgie know. But I've made a couple of notes here to add few stuff, and I'm adding this also. Wire diagrams to be added to course contents. So remember, you have to go by this document over here, and if something is, I'm also going to ask SQL to be added to the course contents, so you have an understanding of SQL as well. Any other questions?
Yay! We're gonna learn SQL.
So, Vijay, quick question.
Hmm.
So, prototyping, wireframes, and interface. I would know that wireframes basically you draw it on visual. There is an interaction, and interface is where you say it. You can basically interact with the system. But what's is it does it come under prototyping?
No, that would fall under documentation.
Okay.
Prototype is creating a miniature of what you're going to build.
Okay.
Yeah, I can show you an example of a prototype here.
So most of the diagrams, like activity diagrams, the future basically. So the to be section would be prototyping. If there
Yep,
are any diagrams.
yep. The to be is not so easy to understand in some kind of complex projects at times. So what BAs would do is come up with a prototype to ensure that their understanding is correct, because at that time you don't have something to reference to. Um, you don't know, you just assume that you're understanding things correctly. Let's take an example. I'm just opening a prototype very quickly. This is a prototype that I prepared long back for one of my project. So in this case, in this example, we built a application. Oops. Okay, so let's say this is a web portal for an application. So you understand the requirements from the users. This is, and then you want to check with them if your understanding is correct. So in this case, I click enter. This is what comes up once I click enter. I click on deal database. This is what comes up, online tools. This is what comes up. I click on home. It goes back. If I go back to the previous screen, it goes back here. So the users are now able to look at it and say, hey, yeah, this is exactly what I wanted, but I want this change, I want green color here. So it makes you understand requirements more clearly. So that's the whole idea of coming up with a prototype. It's a miniature of the big stuff. Now this does not have the actual functionality in the background. This is just created on PowerPoint. This is a PowerPoint presentation, but this can be designed like this. Not everything works here, but it gives an idea. All right.
Okay, and another question is, Vijay, what's the next step from here?
I don't know what's your current step and who's talking and what's happening with you. So it's really difficult for me to say that.
Okay, I'll probably speak to the
Training
organizers.
coordinator, yeah, Vijay would be the right person to talk about it. Who's this, by the way?
This is Shamli.
Hey, Shamli. So yeah, I don't know what's the plan between you and Bridgie and Monica. So you have to talk to Monica about this, not even Bridgie. I know you have completed your batch. Talk to Monica.
Sure, Ji. Thanks.
Any other questions? Awesome. Nice talking to all of you. Have a good one. And most likely we'll catch up again, for a session once again. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Are
Bye-bye.
you still going to look at my resume? Are you still going to look at my resume?
Sure. Have you completed your class already, Audrey?
No, but you were just going to look at it for because remember, I talked to you
Yep,
yesterday.
yep. Send it to Bridgie and tell him that we had this conversation and pass it on to me. He'll pass it on to me and I'll give my feedback.
Okay, so just email it to Monica.
Bridgie, that his email ID would be info@mindsmapped.com. Just mention that Vijay wants to review my resume. Please forward it, or send it across to him. He'll take care of that.
Okay, Vijay, I just want to compliment you on your class.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really pleased with it, and my relative who has her master's degree in education,
Mm-hmm.
I told her about the class, and she's going to sign up to learn to be a BA.
Awesome.
All right?
Great. Thank you for the compliments, Audrey. No.
Yeah, thanks, Vijay. We'll come again. And just another last question is that I sent the resume and you had given me some points. Is it okay if I do the points and send it back to you, or?
Sure.
Sure. Okay. Thanks, Vijay. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Have a good one. Bye, guys.
Yeah. Thank you, Vijay.